Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spend. Take another look and spend some time for him. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yes, it's time for him. Whoa, an acre of hemp makes 20 bales of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, time for hemp! Yeah!
Thank you for taking time for hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leitch. You are listening to the broadcast of Time for Hemp all around the world at timeforhemp.com, iHeartRadio, and Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, anywhere you can find internet, you can find Time for Hemp. We are now a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week broadcasting station. My joint host today, KDK Distributor founder Kelly Kriston, and I are having a joint conversation with one of our joint friends and also a joint advertiser here on the broadcast, Darryl Cotton from Indigrow. And remember, anytime you hear the word joint on the big broadcast, nearly 2.5 million people all around the world pack their bongs, their pipes, their vaporizers, and take time for hemp. Kelly, thank you for being on the big broadcast today.
Always happy to be on Time for Hemp. It's been a pleasure, Casper. How you doing today?
I tell you, I am excited.
What's been going on up in Canada, Kelly?
Well, you know, things are changing. We have an unfriendly government, and now they want to change the medical program again, take it out of the hands of the medical patient or their designate grower, and put it into the hands of big business and create several, I don't know if they have an exact number or how many facilities they're going to run across the country to supply medical cannabis to the patient. And I know this is what the government wants to do. This is not what the patient wants. And
they're making it illegal to grow your own?
Yeah, two of the big reasons why patients want to continue to grow their own are, number one, they know what they're growing. They know what they've put into it. They know what they're putting on it. And they're generally growing or growing several strains to find one that works well for their particular ailment. And and the other thing is the actual therapeutic value they derive from growing their own medicine and how awesome they feel that they're able to do that for themselves. Now, when it goes to these large operations, obviously they're not going to be worried about the individual patient, and they're probably want to look at strains that produce higher weight as opposed to ones that produce better medicine. And also the variety of plants that are available obviously is going to be diminished. These companies aren't going to want to grow 100 different types. They're going to want to grow very few, maybe one or two or who knows how many, but certainly not the variety that's out there and that the medicinal patient is looking for. If you're grow a particular strain, are they going to grow that strain? Well, if they're growing that strain, great. You'll be able to purchase your medicine. But if they're not growing your strain, then where do you go from there? So it's looming to be a big battle. The government wants to move in this direction, and the medicinal patient doesn't. So no doubt there's going to be a battle in the courts, and we'll have to see where it ends up.
What's the current law of the land? Are you allowed to grow your own?
As a medicinal patient, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. When you apply, you make that designation if you want to actually grow for yourself or you want someone to grow for you. You find someone who is willing to grow for you as what they call a designate, and then they produce the medicine for you. Maybe you're not capable physically, or maybe your situation, you're in an apartment and you can't actually grow cannabis in your apartment. So for those people, they do have other options.
And that's worked well for many years now, is my understanding.
Yes, for 10 years now, you betcha. So
has law enforcement lined up against it? What are the detractors saying they want to change it? And
I think that law enforcement also has issues. A lot of the things that they talk about, of course, is the smaller operation at homes and the at-risk, it's the electrical up to snuff. Is this up to snuff? Well, the vast majority of medicinal patients, of course, have gone the proper route, and all their facilities are already have been approved and are safe. But yeah, this is one of the arguments that the police have, and also, of course, home invasion, that type of thing. If the wrong criminal element is to find that maybe you're growing cannabis in your basement, they may not necessarily know it's a medicinal grow, but they may want to come and, of course, steal away the goods.
Right.
Which is unfortunate, but
they can always point to those exceptions. I mean, they can point to the exceptions of the people that do the underhanded thing and steal power, steal their neighbor's power, and maybe grow more plants than they should be. But those that are actually trying to abide by the law and do everything with the proper I's dotted and T's crossed, what you're talking about is they're taking their rights away. The ones that tried to play by the rules. And that bothers me because, the patients shouldn't have to drive like in Arizona. It's 25 miles. Within a 25-mile radius of a licensed dispensary and cultivation center, you're going to be forced to not only not grow your own, but drive all that great distance to try to get meds that may be inferior to what you really needed. I believe you're facing the same things in Canada right now. And when is this going to be decided?
They're supposed to, the program now, they're already not renewing licenses to grow. I believe it's March of the upcoming March is when the switch is supposed to happen.
And which way are the prevailing winds blowing?
Well, I think that there's the medical patients have all gotten together, or a number of them have gotten together, and they're prepared to fight the government on this. So I have a suspicion that should hold things up, at least extend it for a little while longer, and then we will have to let the courts decide what is best. Because the government certainly doesn't know what is best, as they prove time and time again. We got to leave it up to the courts with a common sense approach, because the government doesn't possess that.
So elections do matter. You really need to know where these politicians stand on these issues before you blindly vote based on a snippet that they put on television, or how handsome the person is and how well dressed they are. I feel that we have to inform ourselves as voters, especially here in the United States, because unless you know where the politicians stand on these issues in advance, you shouldn't vote for them, because these do really have life-affirming potential reactions based on how they vote. And nothing's worse than a politician that gets in under one agenda and then performs 180 degrees differently once in office. That's kind of my feeling on politics as it goes. But I always feel like the politicians throw the babies out with the bathwater, too. What's to stop in Canada, these licenses for the larger cultivators, what's to stop them from maintaining the status quo and letting the privately licensed, those that have abided by the rules, do their grows? Why do they have to be taken out of the equation? It's clearly because they represent competition, in my opinion.
For certain. If you're going to invest a lot of money into a commercial operation, you certainly don't want to see a bunch of your customers being able to produce their own.
But competition's a good thing. It forces those that would get into the business to do a better job and offer a better value to the public.
Well, I
think that's being ignored.
Right. I think that both systems have value and merit, of course. There are a lot of people who just cannot grow their own in any way, shape, or form, or have no desire to grow their own. So for those people, this is what they need, because currently what the government does, they do have a facility where they're growing cannabis for the medicinal patient, but it's only one strain. It's irradiated. There is no real trimming of the plants, as you might say. Everything sort of comes all as a mulch in a bag, and the value of the medicine is very, very low. I don't know of a single medical patient in Canada that uses them on a regular basis. Anybody that I've ever spoken to that personally that has purchased the cannabis available from the government has never purchased it again. So for those people who cannot or will not grow for themselves, this is no doubt a viable option, and or something that they need because what the government is currently providing is horrendously inadequate. And so there is a lot of people out there sort of stuck in the middle, so to speak, and they're still probably buying either from a compassion club or from the black market to get proper medicine that's going to work for them.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's I almost look at what Anheuser-Busch has. I mean, there's millions at least, microbreweries that have sprouted up, and they don't represent any real competition to Anheuser-Busch. We could have the same thing with the, grow-it-yourself guy against, the large monolithic Anheuser-Busch of medical marijuana. But, too, I don't see personally why they can't coexist. It's just a black-booted, shut off the competition attempt, in my opinion.
I agree, and again, I think that both should exist just because of the fact that the therapeutic value for the medicinal patient that likes to grow for themselves and know exactly what nutrient they're using, what strain they're using, and knowing that they're not putting any pesticides on or using anything GMO or anything that would be detrimental. So for those people, I hate to see them take away their right to produce their own medicine, but by the same token, there are all these people out there who cannot produce their own medicine and are forced to purchase from the government. And like I say, what the government provides right now is just completely inadequate.
Well, times are changing. I mean, we're seeing actually what Canada's been doing for years with industrial hemp in California, SB 566. They just allowed that to pass in the law a week ago. So I see an industrial hemp opportunity developing, at least in California, maybe across the United States. But again, these are the types of things that I know big business for years has tried to encircle it and just control every aspect of it. And there's many lobbies that are affected by industrial hemp too, such as the cotton and any of the wood pulp manufacturers and cultivators. So times are changing, but as I look at how medical marijuana laws are, and I see our federal government backing off on that and apparently allowing the industrial hemp initiatives to pass, it means changes, but I'm not always sure changes for the better, especially if it allows small percentages of people to control the industries.
Without question, anytime you allow a small consortium, they have control of the market, you're definitely looking for trouble.
Yep. And the efficacies of what they're growing in the medical programs in Canada, the licensed medical programs, haven't been up to what the smaller growers have been providing the patients.
Oh, you're asking what, the quality you mean? Or
that's exactly right. I mean, if I have a condition, if I have post-traumatic stress disorder, I mean, I know I want a high CBD strain, and you're telling me that this watered-down med that you're getting through the large cultivators doesn't have the same efficacy, doesn't have the same properties.
Well, right now there's no actual large cultivators. This is what they're moving towards. The only large cultivator is the government themselves,
right,
or someone that the government has contracted to produce the medicine.
And they're driven by weight.
And well, they're certainly driven by profit.
Yes.
And what the Canadian taxpayer doesn't know is that we paid for all of this in the first place, and they are charging the medicinal patient basically street level or black market prices for inferior product. and they realize it's not working.
I need to jump in here because I am driven by profit as well, though we've never seen that happen here. We do like to try to break even whenever we can. We want people to join in and let everybody know how important it is to take time for hemp.
Big fat don't be much sweeter. I don't hide it. I don't hide it. I don't hide it. I don't hide it. Well, I don't hide it. Fire up right now.
THCF Medical Clinics are the premier physicians clinic in the United States. THCF has offices all across the United States from Hawaii to Michigan. THCF Medical Clinics has helped approximately 150,000 patients obtain their medical marijuana permits to legally possess, grow, and use medical marijuana. If you have chronic pain, multiple sclerosis, or any other neurological degenerative disease, or if you have any gastrointestinal disorders such as GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, or if you have AIDS, cancer, spastic disorders, seizure disorders, or glaucoma, call us at 1-800-723-0188 or visit us online at hemp.org. Again, the number is 1-800-723-0188 and the site is hemp.org.
I smoke marijuana, and in the evening time, when I'm alone, I smoke marijuana, Oh, marijuana, oh, marijuana, Oh, I got my ganja. Like a rasta, In the morning light, I lie awake. I smoke marijuana, And by the afternoon, I am stoned. Oh, marijuana, Oh, marijuana, marijuana. Oh, I got my ganja. Gonna burn it up, Dread like a rasta, Smoke it up, marijuana. Smoke it up, smoke it up. Smoke it up, marijuana. Smoke it up, smoke it up, smoke it up.
Take that weed out the bag, sprinkle it slow, cross the zigzag, hold it up, roll it up, tighter and tighter, grab your lighter, flick it, pull the smoke, be cool, don't show, let it out, that's what getting high is all about. Look through the bottoms of your eyelids, feel like you did when you was a little kid, happy, positive and mellow, spreading love on to the next fella. Or lady, I look like I'm shady, cause my eyes are redder than Grady. You know the boys from my neighborhood, we look real bad, but we feel so good.
And if I'm old and gray, and I live alone,
What you gon' do, homeboy?
I smoke marijuana,
I'ma be right there with you, come on.
And in my garden I will grow my own.
You gon' grow it? Hey,
Marijuana,
sing it, come on.
oh, marijuana,
Hey, speaking of which,
oh, marijuana,
can you pass that over here, please?
I got my ganja.
I'm about to get my ganja. Yeah,
Dread like a rasta, come on, dread it like a rasta.
come on.
Oh, I got my ganja.
Uh-oh, I'm finna get the blunt. Yeah, man.
Dread like a rasta.
Let me hit it one time.
How I wish I was in Jamaica.
Alright, we can go there.
We dread like a rasta.
Yeah, man. I got my ganja.
Dread like a rasta.
What's up? Yeah.
Marijuana. Gonna burn it up there.
Yeah.
Marijuana. Gonna burn it up there.
Yeah.
Marijuana. Gonna burn it up there. Marijuana.
Yeah, baby, hit it like a rock star. I know I do. I grab that bong or that vaporizer, that pipe, and I toke on it like I'm hanging out with Mick Jagger and Paul McCartney and Bruce Springsteen, and I'm going to be doggone if they're going to get a larger toke than me, baby, here on Time for Hemp. You are listening to the broadcast all around the world on timeforhemp.com and, of course, on iHeartRadio. The door is opened up, and I think it's perfect because we like to move in love here, make our decisions in love, travel in love. I figure if that's something that you do, if you do make a mistake, it'll be an honest one and easy to correct. And that's what we're trying to do with the laws that have been in place for so long. Correct them, and to do so in love, because the people that we love are behind bars, are very, very sick and need medical marijuana and are considered criminals. And when you love someone, that's not a very nice thing to do. And that's something that we earnestly believe here at Time for Hemp. And to prove that, demonstrate that, someone else also moves and acts in love. Kelly Kriston from KDK Distributor is nice enough in an act of love to reach into the hearts of the medical community and let them know that he truly does care by providing to medical marijuana patients a herbal vaporizer that makes it possible to absorb and to consume your medical marijuana without being contaminated by so many other elements. Isn't that right, Kelly?
You bet. It's 100%. The program is 100% free. What we're interested in is hooking up with cannabis patients anywhere in the world who simply cannot possibly afford a vaporizer all on their own. Usually the people that I know are on a disability income or pension and or some kind of program where they don't receive an awful lot of money. They find it difficult to pay rent and buy food, let alone purchase their medicine, and even beyond that, of course, getting a quality vaporizer. And it's been a pleasure to run this program for the last 3 years now and give away quite a number of vaporizers to medicinal patients around the world. It's super, super simple. Like I always say, I know tons of patients in this position, and if you are one of these patients or you know someone who is one of these patients who could really, really use a quality vaporizer but simply cannot afford one, all you have to do is send me an email to Kelly, Kelly, at kdkwholesale.ca. Explain a little bit about yourself. If you're involved in the movement in any way, shape, or form, or Compassion Club or whatever. And also, please try to include a photo because we do publish the winners' names. And thank you to all you people out there for your letters back that have received vaporizers. And, surprisingly enough, we don't receive the amount of requests that we think that we know that are out there. I know that there are literally tens of thousands of you out there, and we'd certainly like to hear from you so that we can hopefully get you out a free vaporizer.
And on behalf of the movement, Kelly, that is a very kind and caring gesture on your behalf and the team of people that you work with there at KDK, and that we want to say what a nice act of love. So,
Hear, hear.
Now we were off into a great groovy conversation. And I'm trying to bring that word back. And I think I've told you, everywhere I go, no matter what, I am the only one who uses that word.
We're going to have to start. We're going to have to revive it.
But we'll let you get back to where it was that you were at in your growing conversation.
Well, I mean, I think what's interesting is how many parallels there are between Canada and the United States. But on a legal front, when we see a law like Prop 215 passed, we really have a situation where, be careful what you wish for, because now you get these laws into place and you're not able to grow within a 25-mile radius of the dispensary. That's a hardship for a lot of people that, simply don't want to pay dispensary prices, don't necessarily know that they're getting the quality meds they need from the dispensary on a continuous basis. And maybe the same things will happen in Canada if these laws are passed. I definitely know there's a big pushback in Arizona. I'm just picking from them because I've paid a little bit of attention to, why they would want to restrict personal grows in these areas. And as a side note, I see the big boxes getting into hydroponics, which has clearly been, the medical marijuana patient's realm. Today you can go to Home Depot, Walmart, Sears, Kmart, and order your hydro equipment. So, if this is the way it's going and there's just going to be the large cultivators, then hydro, as we know, it's going to be a disappearing industry. Wouldn't you think, Kelly?
Now, wait. You said you can walk into these stores now. You're scaring me. Wait, now you're scaring me. I used to, go into, one store with some friend's car and buy my lights. And then I go to another store with another friend's car and buy my fertilizer or whatever. And then I'd rent a car and go buy whatever else I need in another town. So
and
that
license plates were off, right?
Yeah. So you mean it's safe now to go one-stop shop?
That is in fact the case. They don't, to my knowledge, stock in the store. But if you go on any of these websites, you'll see that you can buy tents and trays and pumps and tanks and everything. Kelly, what do you think this is going to do to the industry when you see, large cultivators taking over and trying to outlaw the home grow? Is there a need for the small hydro shops anymore?
I think that there always will be, because your big box guys don't possess the information that the guys at the smaller shops. They've had now more than a decade lead into this industry, and they're educated quite heavily, specifically in that industry. So I think there will always be room for them. Will they be affected? Certainly. Will some of the stores go out of business? Absolutely. But I think that there will always be room for that. The other, in general, hydroponic specific stores, just because of the information that they can offer that you're not going to get at your big box retailer.
No, and I would also go on and say that it's normally your retailer, your hydro store, and your relationship with that salesman that is of most appreciation when you have a problem in the garden, and you can bring that to their attention and they can help you save a crop. The big box guys aren't going to be, I think, capable of doing that at any level. They're probably not able even to speak about the product, the crops and the product with any sense of, experience of having used them.
No,
so, yes, I think, it's going to see industry change, but it's definitely still, for the good retailers, there's still going to be room for them.
Without question, and it's important, obviously. These smaller businesses have always been small business has always been a backbone in Canada and in the United States, and in my lifetime, I've seen the big box stores come and grow and take over and move out a lot of the smaller guys in a lot of industries. Sporting goods, one in particular that I used to be involved in quite a bit when I was younger. And yeah, there's no doubt it has a huge impact on those industries. But still to this day, there are smaller operators out there, just not as many of them.
I think they are, by virtue of being smaller, they're more nimble. They can react to market conditions a little faster. And they're surviving the onslaughts of what the legal ramifications are, as well as the commercial ramifications of big boxes going in and trying to take that industry. Not to mention, a lot of guys today will go into your store, they'll look at something they see there, they'll go online, buy it at Amazon.com, and especially I'm talking HID lamps, where they might have to order 20 lamps, and instead of paying 10% more from their retailer, they'll go buy them online. So I feel for the retailers. The wholesale retail distribution system is going to be, I think, subjected to a tsunami based on the new laws, especially in Canada, and how we see the big boxes trying to take a piece of that market. So just be ready for change, I guess.
Yeah, I think business has always been that way. You have to adapt and you have to change, and if you don't, you'll be left in the dust. So those that are prepared and aware and can work towards it, they're going to survive. The ones that are not too concerned about it and just continue to do what they're doing are going to be left behind. It's plain and simple as that. But I think that really has been business in the free market forever. So I don't think it's any different. But yes, it's going to be become more competitive, like anything else that any big box industry gets into. But there'll still always be room for smaller operations, and they're just going to be fewer of them without question.
Yep.
I know that Home Depot here in Canada has been carrying nutrients and stuff for quite some time now, for several years. So they're obviously proactive and have seen the changes and have started to carry a lot of this stuff. And so these hydro stores have lost a bit of their business to the big box guys already. And like I say, I think the ones that are aware of it and pay attention to it are going to survive, because they're going to adapt. They're going to bring in, and like I say, they offer advice that you're just not going to get at a big box store. So if they wipe out all these guys, it's going to be really, really tough for the grower, especially if they continue to allow the medicinal patient to grow for themselves on such a small scale. They really, really need your local hydro store and depend on them for information and that kind of stuff. So hopefully those people will recognize the fact and will continue to support their local stores.
Well, one thing I got to do to support myself here is to support our advertisers by going to a commercial break. And I do ask that those out there who are listening in, please make it a point to go to our sponsors' website and let them know that you heard about them here on Time for Hemp.
Well, now, chocolate cake makes my poor stomach ache, and all those pills are too much for me to take. I don't like cocaine 'cause it makes me all uptight, but coffee and reefer makes me feel alright. Crystal meth will make you high, and it's cheap.
Excuse me for a moment while I vent about the mind-boggling stupidity of the autocratic, bureaucratic, right-wing, Neanderthal numbskulls who keep pushing an insane, inane, and inhumane holy war against marijuana, which is, after all, a weed. The most embarrassing thing for these holy warriors is that the weed is winning. They've been at this war since 1937, spending billions and billions of our tax dollars, militarizing our borders, and stomping on our Bill of Rights. They've used phone taps, garbage searches, jackbooted raids, and draconian prison terms to do what? To nab peaceful, mellow tokers who aren't bothering anyone, that's what. Despite 60 years of spending our money, they've failed. 85% of Americans say marijuana is easy to obtain today. A third of our population says they've tried it. Nearly 15 million people partake of it at least monthly, and more high school students now smoke marijuana than cigarettes. Meanwhile, the holy warriors have become more fanatical and thuggish. A marijuana arrest is made every 41 seconds in America, 9 out of 10 of them for mere possession. In 2004, 772,000 Americans were arrested on marijuana charges, more than for all violent crimes combined. And 40,000 Americans are in prison today for this victimless crime, more than the entire prison populations of 8 European countries. Even sicker, the sanctimonious weed warriors have made it a crime for thousands of seriously sick people to get the medical benefits of using small amounts of doctor-prescribed marijuana. Weirdly, our doctors can prescribe cocaine for patients, but not marijuana. This is Jim Hightower saying, for information and action to stop this absurd war, call the Marijuana Policy Project, 202-462-5747.
Time for Hemp is an educational tool that can be found in iTunes, on Spreaker, and of course at timeforhemp.com. Yes, stay alert, keep your consciousness, puff, puff, give. We mean it, baby. Reach into your pocket, break open that bag, fire that bad boy up, puff it and pass it. That's what makes it so awesome. Seriously, there are people who need their medical marijuana and cannot afford it. How horrible is that? You know, you need to do something about that if you're just sitting there with like about 1.5 pounds in your little closet trying to figure out, oh, me, oh, my, what am I going to do with all this? Well, I can tell you what you can do with all that. Get up off your fatty, get out that door and distribute it to people who need it. Hey, here's another thing you can do while you're out there. Let people know about how inept these laws are and how important it is to end prohibition. And then also while you're out there, you might let them know how important it is to the farm community to have a cash crop that's going to save your asses and let the world know that it is time for hemp. Yeah, I mean that. We need to save this earth. And as long as we keep this plant outlawed, we are destroying this earth, destroying our future, and destroying any chance we have for happiness and success. Now, if you think I'm kidding, here, let me just shut my mouth up and pass this over to my joint host and my joint guest here on the big broadcast at Time for Hemp. Kelly?
Hey, Darryl. We chatted on the break a little bit about industrial hemp. And this now is going to be the very crops are going to start next year. I'm assuming this is a goal.
My understanding is there are associations that collectively will identify industries that they want to grow specific types of hemp for, be it fuel, fiber, paper, basically as a way of developing an association to maximize the opportunity, here in California at least, to get this industry up and running in as short as possible, order as possible, that is. And I'm happy for that. I mean, we saw these initiatives get struck down just even up to a year ago when the governor, in this case Jerry Brown, felt that he would be running afoul of the Controlled Substance Act and had problems at a federal level. There's been some shifts on a federal level. A new memo was issued, and the federal position is they're not going to enforce federal law on the Controlled Substance Act in those states that have legal medical marijuana programs. And fortunately, as hemp is looked at it from both an industrial hemp and a recreational and a medicinal drug, Jerry Brown took this opportunity to bring a much needed crop to the Californian farmer to get this up for a variety of industries that can benefit from its growth. So we're excited to see that.
Yes, I'm excited. I think that any hemp production, the more the merrier. We need to build an excess of hemp because we can use it for, I don't know how many years it would take of continually adding to the annual hemp crop before we would run out of uses for it. I mean, like you say, hemp fuel and fiber, we can use it here in Alberta.
Materials. Yes.
Building materials to make cars, to make the fuel to run them, to create electricity. We use coal-fired generators here in the province of Alberta to produce all our electricity. And we don't even have to retrofit anything. We can go directly from using coal to using hemp pellets with a net zero effect to the environment. I mean, we should have done this a long time ago, but obviously we're going to have to produce a lot of hemp before we can do these things. So the more and more acres that get planted to hemp, hemp, hooray! What can you say?
Well, we have advocates like the doctor, or I think his name's Joe Bonner. He makes a magic soap. He's just north of us in Escondido. And they lobbied hard, and they basically promoted and advocated the use of hemp for these products. We import 95% of the hemp that we put into our products here in the United States. It just doesn't make sense to not have this as an agricultural opportunity for farmers that are in desperate need of this type of assistance. So the timing's been good. We'll see it develop, and hopefully it'll develop in relatively short order because this world needs it.
Yes, everybody on the planet will benefit from every acre of hemp planted, without a doubt. It's bug resistant, doesn't require any pesticides, it grows in poor soil. What it produces per acre is astronomical in terms of its value. It's like a wonder crop, and it's a wonder crop for the planet. It's a wonder crop for the human being. So
yes, and I'm really wanting to see, how this all plays out. I mean, I wish I had my little crystal ball because, we are going to, with the advent of industrial hemp and its acceptance at a state level, going to be stepping on toes. I mean, there's many other industries that are affected by mass-produced industrial hemp. And as that goes, there's going to be tremendous, enormous political pressure put on the politicians in Washington to, restrict its growth based on, its apparent contradiction with our Controlled Substance Act, which, it's 0.1% of THC in industrial hemp. I mean, you would likely smoke an acre of it before you put on any kind of high.
If you're smoking hemp, you're not getting anything. I can tell you that right now.
It's apples and oranges. So on the one hand, I'm glad, that Brown used this as an opportunity to, sign this into law. But on the other hand, it's truly apples and oranges. And I do get, for example, some very large, like in Arizona and Washington, people inquiring as to, hey, we're going to do things a little bit differently in our larger cultivations, and we want to look at your lighting products, for example, for their energy savings. We're seeing that the utility grid is overtaxed, and there's a lot of areas where, the utility isn't, kept up with the demands. And for an area, a warehouse, for example, to all of a sudden want to put in 300 or 400 of these 1,000-watt high-pressure sodium fixtures, it's not always not only available to do it, but it's not practical in terms of how many lamps you got to replace and so on. So just to tell you a little bit about what we do at Indigrow is on our website, indigrow.com, if you go to our products page, you'll see a list of energy-saving lights that are designed to go broad spectrum, from the small grower who wants to do his own gardens for food and meds, on up to the larger cultivators that have, enormous demands on the infrastructure. There are ways to coexist these industries and with our planet without polluting it, like throwing out lamps every 6 months that are ending up in our landfills and toxifying it with mercury, which gets taken up in our plants. I mean, growers have been doing this for years, and this is not a properly recycled lamp. It's ending up in our landfills. It's getting in our aquifers. It's just bad for the planet. So I'm all about energy conservation and water conservation, and cannabis needs to have the white hat on. As we, push the boundaries of commercial cannabis growth, we need to do so with an environmental consciousness that, exceeds that of what you would have seen under the Monsantos of the world, who, for their own reason, crop manage, make enormous profits off of it, and, how it treats us and our homeopathic capabilities, it's not always good. I mean, we're seeing higher incidences of cancer and everything else. If you take control of what you're putting in your body, you're likely to have a much more satisfactory life. And Indigrow wants to be a part of that. To the newbie, the first guy that's ever grown a plant, to the experienced grower, we have something for you.
They can.
That's a lot.
And all this information, I know I've been on your website several times. It's chock full of information, and like you say, from the individual patient who might be just growing a small room in their basement to the guy who's got a warehouse and is using a tremendous amount of lights. With anybody who's running lights knows the electrical cost of it, and if it can be reduced and they can still produce a quality medicine, I think that most everybody would be on board.
It goes back to question, authority, question, your methods and procedures. There are other ways of looking at growing anything. Nikola Tesla, back in 1891, gave the world the electrodeless fluorescent discharge lamp. And the nice thing about it is it's broad spectrum. You can run more photomorphogenically. The plants will see everything from a vegetative to flower stage with one lamp. You're not going with a metal halide for veg and a sodium for flower. These types of changes create stress in plants. And we're of the belief that, we took what Tesla gave us in 1891, applied phosphors that are plant reactive, and the benefits are increased trichome production, the opportunity to see a higher caliber quality product, in some cases, depending on strains, decreased times to harvest, and 60 to 70% less energy consumed. And this is where I think we have to go as the personal, small stealth grower right on up to the big commercial cultivators. It's time to re-examine how we're doing these things, to do so environmentally consciously.
100%. We every human being on the planet should be environmentally concerned, and this sounds absolutely phenomenal. And do you have any good words of wisdom from people who have used your labs and love the savings and that they're saving on their electrical bill, as well as the production of their end product? Is it the same or similar?
Well, we have a
and we're down about 1 minute, gentlemen. We're down about 1 minute.
Okay, we're at NinjaGrow.com. We have a Facebook link which shows all our traditional gardens, and there's a lot of good information on there, folks. But if you hit up Facebook and go to our Induction MMJ Gardens page, which is one you'll have to search for, you'll see dozens of user-submitted galleries. And we are on par in terms of weight with the higher wattage HIDs, but you'll see on the side-by-side macro images, the trichome production is far better. The resin oil and trichomes consistently are better. Terpenes are better. So it's a higher quality product in terms of weight. We can get, depending on the strains, on an equal basis to the 1,000 watt or within, 10-15% of those weights. So that we do so at 60% less cost, and you're not relamping for 10 years. This is a 10-year warranty on the lamp and driver. So we took a completely different approach to bringing induction grow lighting to the market, and it's one that we had, the medical cannabis grower in mind, for one, but for that matter, anybody that wants to grow indoors can benefit, whatever the crop.
Well, I like to grow indoors, but I'm not very clean and tidy about it. I make a lot of messes. Perhaps hydroponic is the way to go. And, Kelly, I also believe in taking care of the environment. That's why I say when politicians pass away, they should be burnt and used for fertilizer. Cremated and tossed into the ground. Anyway, so, Kelly, I know you want to give a shout-out, to some URLs.
Yeah, you bet. For all you medical patients out there who could benefit from our unassisted income of some variety and could benefit from a 100% free vaporizer, we even ship it to you at our cost. All you got to do is send me an email, Kelly, Kelly, at kdkwholesale.ca.
And I want to thank you for being part of our big joint broadcast today. And if you're a politician out there and I jointly offended you, good! And remember, the next time you hear me, you'll know that it was time for hemp.
Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spent. Take another look now and take some time for hemp. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. Oh, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, right now it's time for hemp.
Time for Hemp is an educational tool that can be found in iTunes, on Spreaker, and of course at timeforhemp.com.
3 generations of hemp, cannabis, marijuana prohibition greatly contribute to planetary deforestation, pollution, and ozone destruction. Let hemp compete in construction, paper, fiber, fuel, nutritional, and pharmaceutical corporations. Cannabis has been safe, efficient medicine for many illnesses throughout all generations and for natural relaxation. Still, we spend hundreds of billions of dollars and throw away our Constitution to continue this insane persecution.
looking for their medicine. They, their friends, relatives, and physicians constitute a large segment of the 11 million otherwise law-abiding citizens with criminal records due to this prohibition.
taking photographs, shot them from the sky. You're a believer, you can see the pigs do fly. Your daddy's busted. Your daddy's busted by the police. Your daddy's busted. Your daddy's down upon his knees. Well, mama counts her blessings in the house. She counts 1, 2, 3. My daddy's busted. My daddy's busted by the law. My daddy's busted. My daddy's busted now for sure. Well, mama's getting lessons on guitar from the man next door.
Education and information. See what all the buzz is all about. It's time for hemp. It's time for hemp.